in the world.
What's up, friends? Enough of the nonsense. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Hope you enjoyed a little bit of beautiful Session 5 on quad audio. I mean, is it just me? It's not just me, is it? It's half the fun. It's half the reason I continue to fly freestyle with Session 5s is the goddamn audio. The quad sounds so good. Maybe it's just me. Welcome to Monday night Q&A, mailbag, a little bit of work on the glides, and CiottiFPV Reacts is back. I hope you're excited. You're probably not. That's okay. Over on Discord, there's a text channel called CiottiFPV Reacts, and it's a spot where you can post, internet funnies, other things, and I'll react to them eventually. I did it like once or twice, and then I forgot all about it. So we'll do it again tonight. If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, all you gotta do is type CiottiFPV into your message. If you do it, it'll light up an orange like this, and I'll know that you're talking to me. You can also do a super chat if you like these live streams and would like to see them continue. You can also support me by heading on over to CiottiFPV.com. Whole bunch of things going on over there. Patreon page helps me the most. For $3 whole a month, you can join and get a whole hell of a lot more value out of it than $3 a month, I promise. Audio versions of the live streams, Facebook group, all kinds of notifications, email, Facebook, smoke signals, tech articles, behind the scenes stuff. There's a YouTube playlist for patrons with almost 90 unreleased live streams, edits, half-done edits, sketchy stuff that I don't want public. All kinds of good stuff going on. Join the Patreon if you want to see me keep doing this, because yeah, it's like the Patreon specifically supports the live streams. If there ever comes a day where I book enough professional flying gigs, as long as the live streams are still profitable as they are now, I can be like, no, I can turn down a live flying gig that's going to be on top of a live stream, because, live streams are a part of my career. They're a part of the business of CiottiFPV. Ugh. I need a drink of water after saying that. That's my cup of vodka. Brain 3D super chatted $9.99. Thank you so much, Brian. And a crazy hippopotamus guy. Hey, Brian, I'm gonna be doing the deep dive on the GoPro Bones on Wednesday. This Wednesday is gonna be Cinewoop Wednesday. And that's what I'm going to dive into, these beautiful mounts that Brian from Brain 3D sent me. Yeah, I mean, we'll take a quick look at them now because I just can't get enough of Brian's printing. It's just perfect. And I assume that you guys also appreciate it. This is the slimmed down mount here, the really lightweight mount. And then this mount has something wild. It's got this little flap on the side that holds in the memory card. And yeah, like, I didn't think you could do this. I didn't think you could 3D print a latch like this, but apparently you can. I don't get it. I don't get how this was, like, this is wild. There's a slot in there, and then there's a latchy boy, and it, like, you can, like, hear it click when it goes. It's insane. It's just outrageous. Look at this print. Would you just look at it? It's outrageous. So yeah, Wednesday we're gonna dive in to this because I did not get a chance to fly yesterday. The plan yesterday was to work on the Mazda 2 all morning. I was putting new brake calipers, pads, and a full new coilover setup on it. And I was like, that'll take like 2 hours, maybe 3, max. If you've ever put aftermarket parts on a car before, you know what I'm talking about here. Like, in your brain, it's just like, yeah, the amount of bolts and shit that need to be removed and then replaced and things slotted into place, yeah, that'll take 2 hours. And then you stop thinking about it. That's it. And you're like, oh, cool. So I'll budget 2 hours. You don't like. Well, for me, at one point when I was really into motorsport, autocross and track days as an instructor, I started to get a feel for it and realized, like, yeah, 2 hours, and then I'll add 3 hours of things breaking and falling down and being lost and not having the right tools, and add another 2 hours of just generally being frustrated with the world and hating working on cars, because I always hated working on cars. Yeah, it's been a number of years since I worked on cars, and I forgot about that. I forgot about the fact that it just takes forever no matter what. And so yeah, the plan was yesterday to work on the car for 2 hours and then to fly for the rest of the day. And I've got 3 incredibly interesting rigs that I'm going to be flying back to back to kind of see what's up with the Hero 10 Boner. So Mitch McConnell of McConnell Studios sent this over. It's got a weird little wobble. I think it's iTerm related. I think it's got too much iTerm. There was also some mechanical stuff going on. So this guy, he sent over with a, this is the GEP RC Hero 8 Naked little setup, which from what I've seen, this little setup here is kind of the best one. The Beta FPV naked GoPro thing is very spotty. Like sometimes it just blows up your GoPro the first time you plug it in. Sometimes it's fine. This GEP RC setup, from what I've seen, is like the one that you want, right, for a Hero 8. And this is a Cinesplorer frame, right, with the ducts that I'm familiar with. A little bit bigger of a motor, 2204 motor, rather than the 2004s on my 2 rigs, but very, very similar setup. And then the Tooth Fairy 2, which is going to be carrying a full-size Hero 8 with the HQ ducts and the Axis 2004s. I am going to change these props. These props are just on here for funsies. And then this rig here, again, 2004s with the Hero 10 Bones on Brian from Brain 3D's full protection mount setup. All 3 of these rigs, well, actually, no, I can get all 3. All 3 of these rigs, when I test them tomorrow, will be on these 5 blades. And yeah, we'll see. You know what I do want to know right now, though, is what the weight difference is. This is not a fair fight. There are a number of things different between these 3 rigs, but just really quickly out of curiosity, so this rig, the big difference here is it's got PLA printed ducts, which are, I don't know if they're heavier, and it's got bigger motors. This is the rig that's got the GEP RC Naked Hero 8. So this is 316 grams. All 3 of these are HD on DJI. What did I just say, 316? Nope, I definitely didn't say 316. This guy here with the bones is 370. Let me reweigh the first one. So 370 with the bones. I did say 316. What on earth? What? 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 Hold on. What? Is this scale broken for just this one rig? What's happening? 316. That's 316, right? There's a 3, and then there's a 1, and then there's a 6. How the hell do we get from 316 to 369? Bueller? And then... What? 268? What? How is there such a drastic difference in weight? Well, tune in Wednesday to find out. Tune in Wednesday to find out. I'm super confused. I'm super confused right now. There is a absolutely gigantic weight difference between these 3 rigs. And we're gonna figure it out on Wednesday. There, how about that for a cliffhanger? That's what I'm supposed to do, right? What? I mean, 2 of them have GoPros on them and one of them doesn't have a GoPro at all. right? Wow, what? Okay, yeah, we're gonna figure that out on Wednesday. That's wild. There's other ways you can support me over on CiottiFPV.com. Buy some merch from Etsy in the Teespring store. Treat yourself! Or jump on the Fiverr page. We can do one-on-one sessions, help you fly better, build better, tune better. And then there's a whole bunch of affiliate links. Next time you're buying something, anything on Amazon or any FPV related stuff, I might have an affiliate link to that website. Hit my website and check real quick if you don't mind. It's free money and it helps me keep creating content for you guys that you can enjoy for free. Or you can support me, whichever you choose. Click the thumbs up button though. It's over here somewhere. All right. In the chat, Apache Smoke Wooden Sniper was first. Brain 3D was next. McConnell Studios was after that. Bob Noxious, Neek FPV, Grizz FPV, Northern Tier, I Could Fly Here, Dozer, CMYK, Delicious Ozo, Delicious Ozo, CMYK FPV, D. Dozer FPV, Brandon's Baked Beans, Frank Nicholas, Family Guyver, RC Ritter, B-Man, Frenzy Incarnate, Mudkips, RC Ritter, Remy Tim, Super Deluxe, Airwave Ant, Dead Chicken FPV, Compost Pile, RC Ritter, Riot 9, Mac 282, Ed K, B-Man, Airwave Ant again, Fun Per Volt FPV, that's a cool name, Danzil the Terrible, Russell Myers, Chopper FPV, June Loco, Brandon's Baked Beans again, Neek Family Guyver, I'm gonna leave it there if you want the Gangly Man to say your name. Gotta get into the chat early. If you type CiottiFPV, I will read and reply to your comment, or you can do a super chat like a bunch of amazing people have been doing already. Let's get caught up. Bob Noxious says, what's up? CMYK says, what's up, dude? How are you? How sore are you on a scale from 1 to what the fuck? It's actually not that bad. I was way more sore last night than I've been today. It was strange. I'm still pretty sore today, though. That's the other thing I hate about working on cars is, like, you're fucking, like, it's just, everything sucks, and then your whole body is just, for like 4 days, because you use strange muscles in strange places that, it's just, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I never have, and I never will. When I was making really good money, I loved it because I paid someone to work on the at the time I had both the Mustang and the Miata. That was nice. That was just really nice to just focus on driving, and just let people. It felt like It felt like 1% of being what a real race car driver would be. Mudkip says hello. Airwave says migrated from Bardwell's. Glad to have you, Airwave. Make yourself at home. Denzel the Terrible says, hey, what's good? Time for real Q&A. Super Deluxe says, sent you a Discord DM. Show it if you wanna. Super Deluxe, do me a favor. We're gonna do CiottiFPV reacts. When we head up on that, I'll pull that up. Actually, do this. Put it in CiottiFPV Reacts. Yeah, unless you only want me to see it. Quasimodo says, good evening, sir. Family Guyver says, does your cert say I hate Comcast? It sure does. When I lived in Charleston, Comcast really fucked us over. The Comcast, they're motherfuckers. They're just bad. It's just a bad company run by evil, bad people. And they screwed Charleston over something awful and did some really shady shit. So one of the local t-shirt companies in Charleston made this shirt, and oh my god, like they went from like a little company at that was just at farmers markets to like a proper t-shirt company because of this shirt. Yeah, bad company, bad business ethics, bad everything. In my opinion, Quasimodo and everybody else in Charleston. Quasimodo says, good evening, sir. Family Guy, we got that. Brain 3D, thanks again for the $10 super chat. Elijah Butler says, no ELRS, bad experience to back up your distrust with the signal. I have ELRS on the Tiny Whoops, and when the 900 megahertz ELRS setup gets a little bit more attention, I will definitely switch over to it. The configurator is a pain in the ass, but it's not that bad, and if you just spend half an hour on YouTube, you can figure it out. It's a little annoying for me because I don't update gear often enough to like remember, so like every time I have to do it, I have to look it up, and that's just kind of annoying. I don't know. But ELRS is great. It's very obviously the future, and yeah, it's amazing on the Tiny Whoops. and it's actually on McConnell Studios' Cinesplore here, and I did test it against Crossfire at a live flying gig that I was at, and it performed noticeably worse. But it does not have a great antenna placement, so that could have a lot to do with it. But 900 megahertz should outperform 2.4 gigahertz from a physics standpoint 10 times out of 10. So yeah, Crossfire works unbelievably well. It's on a million rigs. It's available. It's easy. It's simple. And I'm never going to be a good enough pilot to detect the couple of milliseconds difference in latency between Crossfire and these rigs. So yeah, it's not worth the time and expense and effort of switching everything over when Crossfire just works so good. Once the 900, actually, here's what it'll be. Once somebody puts out two things have to happen. Somebody has to put out a module with 2.4 and 900 on it, and the 900 megahertz side of ELRS needs to get more attention. All the love has been going to the 2.4 side, rightfully so. But 900 is always going to travel farther and bounce farther, and when you are flying around talent, you cannot have a failsafe. It's not an option. And right now, today, Crossfire 100% is the most reliable link. Absolutely no question. You can't even question that because ELRS has not been around long enough, and it has not been flown by professionals enough, really at all, for there to be real-world, actual data that can back up ELRS being a better choice right now today. My standpoint is that I'll let everybody else do that research, give it a year, whatever, and then once working professionals have been successfully using ELRS in very challenging, very high-risk scenarios, those are also the people that don't forget about the failsafe that they had last week, because it makes, you know, like when you have a failsafe, typically you don't like brag about it, right? Because it's like, well, this was kind of my fault. I flew the rig into a spot where it would fail safe. That was unsafe. Maybe I built the rig shittily. That was unsafe, right? So like, most people are not gonna like, you know, hey everybody, I had a fail safe. I'm a shit, you know, like that's so, yeah. There you go. Long answer to a short question. Bob Knox is dropping the Patreon link. Thank you, dude. Super Deluxe with a $19.99 super chat. Thank you, man. He says, gotta beat Brian's donation. I love it. Thank you, dude. Hey, check out Super Deluxe's channel. Great content over there. I'm not subscribed to a lot of FPV pilots anymore. Super Deluxe is one of the folks that I am subscribed to, and I watch most of his stuff. So check him out. You'll like him. 661 says, first step, jack up your car. It's your car. 661, not the car, because it's a joke. So this is a Mighty Car Mods joke, right? Ever since like the first episode of Mighty Car Mods, as soon as they're a YouTube channel, you should check them out. They're great. YouTube channel that tunes cars, builds cars, whatever. And from like very, very early days, they've been around for 11, 12 years. They'd be like, hey, we're Marty and Moog, blah, 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 blah. We're going to be doing this today. All right, here we go. And they would say, first step, jack up your car. And it's a dual meaning. Sometimes they don't even, you can tell it's a dual meaning because sometimes if they're just doing like stereo shit, they don't even jack up the car. But in that episode, they'll say, first step, jack up your car. Because what they're saying is that leave it alone. Because, like, yeah, we're making it better, but we're really not. Like Mazda spent millions and millions and millions of dollars on this Mazda 2 to make a car. And like as a car, it's never gonna get better. I'm gonna bolt shit onto it that makes it louder or stupider or more uncomfortable, and it just happens to work a little bit better at the racetrack. But right, like first step, jack up your car. You know, you're jacking up your car. So yeah, there's a little Mighty Car Mods history. Bob Noxious FPV with a 20 up. Oh, I almost threw up. With a $25 super chat, he says 2 battery straps to beat Super D's. Why not? Battery straps? Is that are we using? Are we using battery straps as a form of currency now? I like it. Thank you very much, Bob Noxious. Much appreciated, my man. Mudkips321, not to be outdone. YouTube just did the thing. There it is. Mudkips321, not to be outdone, says nice mustache with a $30 super chat. Thanks, everybody. Jesus. Very cool. If do you guys want to keep going on this, or should we do a new? I got it. We're gonna sync up gear funds. Over on the laptop. I use that to stream when I'm in Studio 2, which is at Maggie's house, and over there, this is the fund, and I've never been able to sync these up between the two computers, but it looks like I finally can. What do these fucking things cost? Like $7,000 now? We'll just say 500. Well, no, we gotta say 600 because YouTube takes so much. I think we're at 30 bucks over there, if I'm not mistaken. So we're synced up for the time being. That's pretty cool. So if you want to donate, if you want your super chat to go towards this, you just have to type it in the comment. Or if you already did a super chat that you want to go towards this, just tag me and say, hey, put my blah 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 towards the blah 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 in the ding dang. Frank Nicholas dropping a link to CiottiFPV.com. Thank you, dude. As is Bob Noxious. McConnell Studios says the red ducts are PETG. Okay, cool. Good to know. So that's PETG. Wednesday, we're going to be removing one of those red ducts to weigh it compared to the HQ poured ducts, which are on the other rigs. Those red ducts must be lighter. I know that naked Gep RC Hero 8 is a little bit lighter than the GoPro Bones. But I'm gotta come back Wednesday to figure out right along with me what on earth is contributing to a 64 gram difference between those 44 or 64 gram difference between those two rigs. Unbelievable. Almac FPV says, I lost an ESC in BL Heli configurator. Just have 1, 3, and 4. Any easy way to get it back, please and thank you. What happened before you lost the ESC, Almac? Crash, installed a new version of Betaflight, unplugged and replugged the ESC to the flight controller. Something had to have happened. Like it unless the ESC blew up, I guess. But something had to have happened. Did you fly a battery? Was it a successful flight? Was there a crash in that? You know what I mean? Most important thing, just so you guys know, I mean, this will help you guys out in your self-troubleshooting journey. It's going to sound very obvious, but it's incredibly important. Or if you're asking someone else to help you troubleshoot something, it's going to help them out a huge amount. Is exactly that. What the hell happened? Like, everybody always says, like, you know, my rig is death rolling. What's happening? You might as well say, like, hi, my name is Frank and I like turtles. That tells the person you're asking. I just watched the remember that kid? Remember the meme of that kid? Does anybody not know what I'm referencing? Hold on. If you don't know what I'm referencing, the joke won't make any sense. Ah, fuck it. Just open up a separate tab, YouTube, type in I like turtles. I just watched the It's Always Sunny episode where the soldier, Ben the soldier, says, I like turtles. Yeah, that's what's important, is what happened before the thing that you're having trouble. Because and on your own self-troubleshooting journey, as soon as you can identify what that was, it's going to be like, oh, you know, so if you slammed it into a tree at 100 miles an hour, and then you lost one of the ESC channels, blew up the ESC because you slammed into a tree at 100 miles an hour. You know, like when you just go a step backwards and you figure out, or like, I went from RC4 to RC5. Well, there you go. Go back to RC4. Yeah, what happened right before the problem occurred is 99.9% of the time where the problem lies. So it's just getting yourself in the habit of like kind of remembering that, you know, and just having that. It's hard to develop a mental troubleshooting flowchart, but it's really important. That's what makes. So that's why Joshua and I can troubleshoot stuff as easily and as accurately as we can. We've had enough opportunities over years and years and years and years and years to troubleshoot shit over and over again, to develop like a path of like most things that happen more often than not, things that happen less often, and also just like this path back to like, you know, if it slammed into a tree and there was a voltage spike, that could have affected this. So there's also this, like, you got to sort of think about the whole system, like, right? Like the quad is a system, you know? There's a battery that feeds voltage in through a plug here, through a wire that's soldered to the ESC. The ESC then meters the power out directly to the motors, but it meters that power out depending upon the signal that it gets through the plug header from the ESC with signal pads as well, and another set of plugs that can and do fail, right? Like, so you just, that's like I said, that's a huge part of getting better at troubleshooting these things, is to think of the quad as a system. And, you know, if every single time you blip the throttle, the quad drops to the right front, when you think of the quad as a system, it's like, okay, so what can cause that? The propeller? Well, it's still there, so that's probably not it. Is it tight? Yeah, it's tight. It could be the motor, could be the wires running to the motor, could be the ESC, could be that specific channel on the ESC going to the flight controller. That's about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you think about it like that, and like it helps to look at it. Like I'll just grab a rig sometimes and just be like, that really helps, because, you know, like a death rolling question, which is a very common question. Yeah, you'll get reply like you'll ask that question on Facebook, and half the replies will be, "Oh, your battery's dead." Oh, that's what it is. Of course. Right. Yeah. Thanks for helping, John. You dick. I really hate when people that either don't know what they're talking about or are brand new, or it just drives me crazy when people that don't know anything give answers to people's questions, like confidently with no context. It's the plague of the internet. Just people that don't know anything, not realizing that they don't know anything. Dunning-Kruger, right? To some extent. And just making other people's lives hell, right? Like, you have people that don't know shit about shit, and then you've got new people, and the new people come in and they ask really good questions, and the people that don't know anything flood the replies with terrible answers that send that new person on a wild goose chase. And then the people that do know the answers to the questions post the right answer to the question, and it either gets buried by the bad, wrong, stupid answers to the question, or the stupid people reply back to the person that knows what they're talking about and say, "Oh, you know what you're talking about." And now you know why I don't go on Facebook anymore. It's a box from Jim Fame. I like that. That was fun. was that good for you guys? Hold on, let me get caught up on chat. Because I need to know if that was good for you guys. Athix, make sure you tag me again when you answer that question, and make sure that you say, "Hey, this is the guy asking about I lost the the ESC thing, because sometimes it'll take me half an hour to get caught up. You'll see. Ready? Athix says, was just at Folly. You mean Folly Beach, Athix? Dan636 says, sorry, mate. Did you get that frame yet? I did not, Dan636, but Georgia's mail is an absolute embarrassment. So it always takes extra long. And more of my mail has been lost here in Georgia in the last 3 years than the previous 37 years in New Jersey and Charleston. It's just unreal. Yarb says, Super Deluxe said he sent his amazing battery straps to people who beat his donation. Ah, nice, nice. Remy Tim says, naked GoPro should be like 35 grams lighter than the bones. 35? Oh my God. Wow. That's a big number. Jesus, good call, Dan. My God. Okay, so that pretty much explains it. Unfortunately, the proper naked, the non-bones naked GoPro, if it breaks, that's it. Done. Couldn't hit that stairwell gap yet. G-nice. My God, did I try the other night. What I realized is after like 2 or 3 batteries, I wasn't getting any better at it. I was kind of getting worse at it, but I just kept going. I'm a stubborn bastard. But yeah, I need to learn that. I need to learn that, like, I'm just not a trick guy. I don't like trying to do the same trick over and over and over again. That's not fun to me. And when I do that, I don't have fun. And when I don't have fun, I don't fly all that well. So, Lord Henrik says, do you know why in Black Box the only thing showing up in a full log is my arming beeps and disarm at the end of the flight? I do not, Lord. I don't really use Black Box to tune. I tune by ear and by motor heat and by just having tuned rigs without Black Box for the last almost 6 years. Brandon's Beans, though, is in the chat, and maybe he can help you out. LORD space, yeah, Lord Henricks, tag Brandon's Beans, copy and paste your question. He might be able to Almac says, it was flying beautiful, tried to do the Blue Jay, and it didn't flash right, panicked, and went back to BL Heli, and that's when it started. So there we go. That tells us exactly what's going on. So yeah. See what I mean, right, guys? Like the original question that Almac, I'm not picking on you. I'm so sorry if this comes off as me picking on you. You are like the 10,000th person to. It's just you're like everyone else. It's nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about the fact that like you can't just go online and say like, hey, my shit's broken. How do I fix it? Right? I do it too. I catch myself doing it because it happens to me a lot. Right? It doesn't happen to you a lot. You're not a YouTube sensation. Neither am I. But yes, please, for the love of God, this is not me. I do not mean for this to be picking on you. I'm sure it still feels like it is, but it's not. Almac, you're a great human being. I don't know you, but I'm sure that you are. This is what everybody does. You guys see what I mean, right? Like, now that I have this, we know exactly what's going on. So, Almac, there's actually a couple of things that could have happened. When you were flashing it to Blue Jay, either with Blue Jay or BL Heli, during either one of those flashes, did you change the target of the ESC? And there's a chance like you could have changed that by accident. First thing you want to do, put it right back into, if you haven't already, put it right back into BL Heli and just try to flash it all over again. Just give it one more shot, maybe, yeah. If that doesn't work, or if you've already done that, we can go deeper down the rabbit hole. But this is the next level of, like, I need to know exactly what you did kind of thing, you know what I mean? So, like, basically, if you've already tried to reflash it, at that point, I need to know exactly what you did, like exactly the steps that you followed when you flashed it. Did you follow a Joshua Bardwell video? Did you follow a Joe Blow FPV video that the guy had, 50 subscribers and maybe he told you the wrong thing to do, right? Like, we need to dig like that.
Typically, you can't brick an ESC.
It's hard to brick an ESC. You could have, I doubt it. Now that I know you didn't bang it into a tree at Mach 17, it becomes a lot easier of a troubleshoot. I'll say that. Lord Henrik says I'm subbing just for that spaz. It's not a spaz out, man. It's a rant. We don't spaz around here. We rant, goddammit. Do you know why in Black Box the only thing showing up... there you go. Perfect. Lord Henriks. There you go. You're the man. All right. I'm caught up. Okay, cool. G-Nice, type FPV after you type Ciotti, and it'll highlight in orange for me. Here's what it looks like on my end. I just happened to see that... I don't read the whole chat. I let you guys talk to each other, but then when somebody... If you want to talk directly to me, you just type CiottiFPV, and now I read these comments. There's no way for you to have known that. Again, this is not me singling you out. Everybody does it all the time. Do you have a dead cat frame? If so, show me CG without a GoPro. I do have a dead cat frame. CG is hard to like kind of figure out on dead cat frames, but almost always the CG is nose heavy. It's hard to measure the CG with any amount of accuracy with your fingers like this on a dead cat frame, because you have to eyeball the motors. With a true X frame, it's easy to eyeball the CG with your fingers because you just grab it right above the narrowest point of the X plate, right? So yeah, you like, I've never been able to figure out a good way to do it, but just by its nature, a dead cat frame is always going to be nose heavy, which I assume is the root of what you're asking there. But yeah, there really isn't a good way to measure the CG on a dead cat frame unless the manufacturer puts a mark on the top plate signifying exactly in between the center line of front and rear motors. Hopefully that makes sense. Almac says, I have the Fetech G4 with the new BL Heli pass-through alpha firmware. I think it had something to do with the Blue JF up. Oh, God. Almac, you are now in a land of make-believe, unfortunately. One of my main complaints about KISS a couple of years ago when I spent a few months with it is the just incredible lack of information and knowledge. Like, there just aren't many people that actually understand it more than, oh, I kind of had a problem like that, maybe try this. Like, that, the bulk of the knowledge surrounding Flight 1 and KISS is that. It's just random people on the internet that kind of maybe had a similar problem that they might have fixed it by doing some random thing. Maybe that's different now. Maybe there are KISS gurus that you can find on the internet. But I don't know. I don't know about that. It's one of the beautiful things about Betaflight is that, you know, like, you can find a factual answer to any question ever about Betaflight. It's kind of the opposite of the closed source firmwares in that respect. So, yeah, that's going to be... I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's going to be a tough troubleshoot, man, because of the fact that you're on KISS. So, yeah, you got to link up with... What you want to do is spend a bunch of time trying to actually find some people that really do understand KISS. That's going to take time. You're not looking for good pilots. Piloting has nothing to do with a technical understanding of a flight firmware. So yeah, that's what you want to do. And then if you can find that, that's the person that is going to have some chance of being able to help you out with that, because you're unfortunately in just this land of mystery and make-believe with KISS. Old Man Flux says, you're in Georgia, I'm your state neighbor, Alabama, and I hate it, LOL. Yeah, I moved here to Atlanta in 2019, 2018, 2017, I don't know. Lived in Charleston for 5 years before that, and I grew up in New Jersey for 33 years, 33 years. CiottiFPV says, I know you don't like IAOs, but I'm testing to see how this JHE MCU F7 AO 30x30. So far, 12 batteries through it, no weird shit yet. We'll let you know when and if it dies. Sounds good, Grizz. Orange You Jealous FPV says, what's going on with the H7 boards and Betaflight 4.3? I just got a Beast H7 for a Cinelog 35 build. Yeah, I hadn't heard of that until about an hour ago, and somebody asked a similar question. I have no idea. Apparently there's something going on with 4.3 not loving H7 boards. That sucks. But 4.3 is still an unstable release, so you can't really be pissed off at Betaflight for that. Like, once they come out with a stable release and it's still having problems, yeah, now you can be pissed. But on an unstable release, you have no right to be not that you are, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't be mad about that. The homies over at GemFan got in touch and said, hey, another sponsored box of props whenever you're ready. Send us your wish list. So I sent them I sent them my wish list, and here's the box. Most of these are actually for you guys. Well, for those of you that are on my Patreon. If you join my Patreon and you do the $5, $10, or $20 tiers, you get entered into bi-weekly, every other Monday, giveaways. I do 4 of them every other Monday. One is for the $5 a month Tiny Whoop and Toothpick tier for Tiny Whoop and Toothpick stuff, like these 3016 props that I got a whole bunch of, and these 3020 props. The $10 a month tier, I can't believe how great this is working out right now. The $10 a month tier is for 3-inch micro brushless and Cinewhoop stuff, like these 3520 props, and these 3520 props, and these D76 5-blade Cinewhoop props, and no, I'm keeping these actually. Or you can join the $20 a month club tier for 5-inch parts, like these 5147 propellers. I'm keeping most of these, but some of these are going to be up in there. And I'm gonna see how these are as a high-speed prop on the high-speed build, the Razorback with 40 degrees up tilt and the big gnarly motors. Because these 5147s are a lot lighter than all the other high-pitch props that I've been trying. And for some reason I have this, I need to make that quad be completely locked in. It's I don't understand why I'm being so weird about it. Like, it's not for that. I guess I don't know. If I have a rig that's not like absolutely completely dialed in and doesn't fly like almost exactly like my 5-inch freestyle builds, I just forever, like, I can't sleep at night. I'm what do I need to do? Even if it's like a long range rig that doesn't need to be that dialed in, or like a super high speed rig that again doesn't need to be that dialed in. Like that's a cinematic rig. It just has to not wobble all over the place at 100 miles an hour, and it doesn't. But for some reason, I just I can't leave anything alone. Or like these 5236 props, or like these 5536 props, or like these 5152 props. But these props here, these are mine. I don't think these are released, so I'm not going to say what they are, but I'm not all that excited about them, if I'm honest. But yeah, this is, I have not heard of these. So yeah, there you go. There was an unboxing and a plug at the same damn time. Also on the mailbag list is a bunch more stick ends. I have not even opened these up yet. FR Sky puts their stick ends in these nice plastic cases, but there's but the little latch is a real son of a bitch. And this is what they look like in the plastic boxes. And then there's a set of these RJXs. I'm over it. I'm putting them in with the rest. There's only one more order of stick ends on the way before the stick ends get sent out. One of the perks of joining the Patreon is that you will get access to my Discord channel, full access to my Discord channel, where there's a text channel in there called Dick Ends, because on the inside I'm a 6-year-old. And in there is this little stick end project that I'm doing here, where I ordered one of every stick end that exists in both M3 and M4, and then to join the little project and get on the list, it costs $1 or more. For $1 or more, you can be on the list of where these kits are going to get sent. For you guys to check out one of every stick end, figure out what's your favorite, and then you buy your favorite, you mail this back to me, and then I mail it to the next person. Or maybe I'll have you guys mail it to each other, I'm not really sure. I think I'll do that. I think I'll print and put enough of the labels in the box, and I'll number them, so that you guys can just, put another label on it and get it to the next person. But this is what it looks like when you buy one of every single stick end and put them in a prop bag. This is the M4 kit, this is the M3 kit. So yeah, they're actually on Friday night's stream, a hysterical bidding war broke out to be at the top. So the way that it works is the more you donate to so if you donate $1 to the fund, you're going to be at towards the bottom of the list. So you're going to be one of the last people to get the stick ends. Eventually it'll show up, but yeah, it'll take a while. The more you donate to the stick ends fund, the higher up you go in the list. So this is all described over there on the Discord channel. So I have an open for anyone to see Google Drive document that I actually do need to update it with how much everybody has donated, so you can see, all right, it's going to cost me $23 to be the third person down on the list, so I'm going to PayPal Ciotti that much, or Super Chat. So yeah, that's how it works. But you got to give me 10 cents a day to get access to it by joining my Discord. You're going to love it, though. I promise. Almac says, thanks anyway, I appreciate the effort. Never had anything like this happen in my 2 years of building. I'll venture figured out always do one of the excitements of FPV. Yeah, if you throw enough time at it, you'll definitely figure it out. It's the way it always works. Bob Noxious, thank you for dropping the Patreon link. Orange Jealous says, not mad at all, just curious. Thanks for your content. You're certainly welcome, my friend. Veritas Weasel says, which drones in each class would you recommend flying in Velocidrone? Oh god, I have no idea. I've only ever flown, I think it's called the Little Bastard in there. And when we used to play combat mode, I would fly whatever the hell that combat mode quad was. But yeah, I don't know. The physics aren't really close enough to reality in Velocidrone, I don't think, to waste much time figuring out which drone in there. Just pick the one that looks most like a freestyle rig or a race rig, if that's what depending on what you're doing, and just go forth and get some simple stick time in, because yeah, once you go out for real, all of the big thing that changes, that makes the sims very useful when you're getting started, but much less useful after a year or two, is the momentum and the throw. Like when I say momentum, I basically mean like the off throttle throw. There's no way for the sims to get that dialed in, and that's one of the more difficult parts of what we're doing, and those are the most risky moves. So that's the thing that we need the most help with. So if you spend a lot of time in the simulator, you're going to get really used to the amount of momentum that the simulator has. And then I guess maybe if you just happen to build a rig that's got the exact same physics profile as the one in the sim, you'll be okay, but that's probably not going to happen. And then what that's going to do is it's going to make flying in the real world actually harder. I still am. I'm a huge proponent of the simulator for learning the stick movements and just getting a ton of stick time in for free, kind of. But there was a point that I specifically noticed that the more I flew in the sim, the worse I flew in real life. And I was flying too much in the simulator and not enough in real life. And then eventually I just noticed that after I flew the sim, I just was not dialed in, and I just stopped flying in this. I stopped flying freestyle in the sim. And yeah, when I do the one-on-one sessions, I do fly a little bit of freestyle in the sim, but it's only like 30 seconds to a minute to show somebody the stick movements and what they're going to see through the FPV camera. Over on CiottiFPV.com, my Fiverr page has more details on how you can work one-on-one with me, or just contact me and we'll set it up. Glenn Burnett says, any thoughts of the new 1002 from RC and Power? They're asking about what KV we want for 1S, 2S rigs. Yeah, the 1002 doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me in terms of motor size for a tiny whoop. I guess maybe it makes sense for these little tiny toothpicks for outside. The little tiny toothpicks for outside, I haven't built one yet. Couple people are like, oh, they're the greatest thing ever. I don't know. A 3-inch toothpick is completely safe and completely quiet and totally docile. I just don't get it. If I'm gonna build a toothpick, it's gonna be that. Yeah, I don't know. The 1002, it's just a strange motor size. An 0803 makes a lot more sense, or maybe even an 0903. I don't understand the whole 1002 thing. That's getting into the world of like heavy lift. That's like a heavy lift motor. So like, but then there's the Beta FPV 1102, which is going to do better in that scenario. Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get the 1002 thing. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't flown it, so I'm just going by, like, you know, having used hundreds of motors over the last God knows how long. But I don't get it. Maybe I'm wrong. But I just don't understand it. And so, like, what KV is totally dependent upon what that motor is going to do well. I don't think it's going to do well on a tiny whoop. Maybe, but yeah, so that's how that needs to get figured out. They're probably asking for feedback over on Facebook, and that will end them up with the wrong KV. So that's a shame. I wish that manufacturers would stop doing that. I wish they would stop asking for information over on Facebook groups, and start asking actual pilots that have been paying attention and fly good and know what they're talking about and shit like that. But, you know, typically those pilots charge for their time, and, you know, we demand that these products be incredibly inexpensive, so we put a lot of pressure on these manufacturers to keep all of their costs down really low. So in the end, it's our fault. Always take responsibility for shit when you can. Don't just blame everybody else. It doesn't get you anywhere. And it just doesn't make any sense. Because remember, when you fail, you can get better. When you don't fail, you can't get better. You don't learn anything when you don't fail. So fail. It's fine. The most successful people in the world are just the people that have failed the most. And they learn the most from it. And then, you know, you're Bill fucking Gates. The man with the silliest hair
in the world.
Damn. Oh, there's props over here. How did you get over there? Oh, I put those 5147. Let's do CiottiFPV Reacts. I'm caught up on the chat. No, I'm not. Bob Knox just dropping the Fiverr link. Thank you, dude. Danzilla the Terrible with a 20 Canadian dollar, Californian dollar super chat. OGs will remember that joke. Thank you so much, Danzilla, for the kind, generous. That's when you can't decide in your brain between the word generosity and generous. I had a motor bell pop off in a crash. Shaft/prop still attached. Screw in the bottom seems to have undone. Screwed it back together, seems okay now. But should there be thread lock on that screw that goes to the bottom of the shaft? It depends, Danzilla. The old school motors, yes, you needed a little bit of thread locker on there. Technically speaking, even the new school motors, you want to have a little bit of thread lock on there, but technically you don't need it on the new school motors because if you look, this is an old school motor, so this does not have it, but I'm just going to show you where it is. On the new school motors, right at the base, and it might have flown off on yours, but you can check one of your unopened motors. On the new school motors, they put a green O-ring right down in there. They put a green O-ring right fucking there. And the point of that green O-ring is you've got your stator base here. You've got your stator base here, and then the motor bell and the motor shaft go into it. When the motor gets hit really hard, the O-ring will let the motor shaft You knew I was gonna do it. You knew I had to do it. I mean, it's just never gonna not do that. The side benefit of that is you can just crank that fucking screw down on the bottom of the motor shaft, and it'll compress that O-ring a little bit. But what it won't do is drive the motor bell into the bearing and cause problems. So technically speaking, on a new school motor with a usually green O-ring between the motor bell and the stator, technically you don't need thread locker, but putting a little tiny bit of it on there ain't gonna hurt nobody. Thanks again for the generous super chat, my man. Aphix says, also the baby tooth was fun chasing seagulls. Where did that comment come from? We're what? What are we talking about here, Athix? Glenn Burnett says the 1002 is more for 75mm or 2-inch. The motor is basically the same weight as the 0802, but has a 1.5mm shaft. Yeah, maybe that 1002. So I mean, the thing is, though, that like the 75mm tiny whoops, I just don't understand them. Like, I just don't know what a 75mm tiny whoop is for, because you can get better flight dynamics by building a 75mm toothpick, and it's every bit as safe to fly outside, and the 75mm whoops don't fly as good inside as the 65mm. So yeah, I guess it's a motor for those, I don't know. But when I say that, a bunch of people go, "No, you're an asshole. 75mm tiny whoops fly better inside." And I'm just like, man, I've flown hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of batteries, and there's never been a single time when that's been true, because indoors, what matters is weight, and the 75mm tiny whoops are always going to be heavier, because 75mm is always going to be a bigger number than 65. So, you know, math and all. I guess there was a time where we couldn't get 65 millimeter tiny whoop motors that made as much power, but that's not true anymore. We've got a ton of 0802 25,000 kV motors that just rip. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe if like you lived in a football stadium or a basketball stadium or something, or like if you're really wealthy and your house is really that big, but man, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine a house being big enough. I guess maybe, oh, okay, so you know what it is? If you work in a warehouse, you know, with like 50, 60, 70, 80 foot ceilings, and that's where you fly in a warehouse, that's where I guess that motor and a 75 millimeter whoop would make sense. The whole 2S thing doesn't make any sense to me with tiny whoops because there's not an AIO that can put up with 2S and not cook yet. I'm sure eventually we'll get one, and we might actually have one in the Acro B V3, but it hasn't been around long enough to really have been tested hard enough. All that being said, more motor selections is better than less. So I love that there's another new motor. I just can't figure out. You know what it is? I can't figure out the right payload for that 1002. A motor with those dimensions, 10 millimeters wide, 2 millimeters tall, that is basically a Cinewhoop motor. That's not a freestyle motor. That's a motor like that. Yeah, it is meant to lift a load. And maybe the RunCam thumb is the payload for that motor. That would be cool. I would still go with the Beta FPV 1102 though, I think. Maybe not. No, you know what? You said it's the same weight as an 0802. So that's it. Okay, so that's it. I finally figured it out, I think. That's a motor to pick up a RunCam thumb. And that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool little setup. Throw that motor into a 75 millimeter cockroach frame from Newbie Drone. Hopefully they make it in a high enough KV. They probably won't because they're asking for feedback from Facebook, so they'll get all the worst answers imaginable. But hopefully they have a pilot somewhere that actually flies and has flown more than 20 batteries that can straighten them out and have them get the right KV. Because, yeah, that on a 75 mil frame with the really cool Goober canopy loops that have been adapted for the size of the RunCam thumb. I haven't seen anybody do that yet, but yeah, that would be a really cool rig. That motor is not really big enough though for an Insta360 Go 2, which is the platform that I'm picking up with tiny whoops if I want HD. The RunCam thumb quality is just not quite good enough. The Insta360 Go 2 is just wild. The quality out of that camera is just amazing for how light it is. Denzel the Turbo says that was the best answer I could have asked for. Sounds good, dude. Love it. That's what I like to hear. That means I'm doing my job. CiottiFPV says I was at Folly Beach and took the baby tooth. Oh, Folly Beach. That's right. I knew we were talking about something. The way you typed that, I was like, he wouldn't have just randomly said that. When I was waiting on an opening, they had water footage with the 5-inch. I was chasing the seagulls. The one baby tooth. Got it. Nice. Remy Tim says, I live in a warehouse. I look at my residence and I say, where's the house? So maybe a 75mm is good for me. You and me both, Remy Tim. Although I won't be able to make that joke very soon. I won't. Pretty soon I will not be able to make that joke anymore. Big things coming this year, man. Didn't know it could be this good. 661 says 1002 is for 1S 2-inch. Oh. Well, that makes even less sense than a 75mm whoop. I actually disagree. I would not want that small of a motor on a 2-inch prop, and I'll tell you why. the Beta FPV 1102, it can't even, it's not even enough motor for the 1.6 inch propellers when you get up to a quad blade. It's just barely enough motor for a, actually it might be the exact right amount of stator volume for the tri-blade Gemfan 1.6 inch prop. So if you were to take a smaller motor and go up to a 2 inch prop, unless it's a 2 inch bi-blade, yeah, it wouldn't make much sense. Yeah, it would be an undermotored setup, which, in fairness, most toothpicks are undermotored setups, which is why I don't fly toothpicks anymore. But yeah, there's my take on it. Athix says, would the 1002 have better cooling? Better cooling than what? Glenn Burnett says, I think it's really for 60 to 75 millimeter toothpicks. That's my guess too, Glenn. That's my guess too. Especially, and where it becomes really valuable for those rigs is that it has a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. So that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Athix says the 1102 was enough to swing 65 millimeter bi-blades and rip balls. 65 millimeters is what, 2.5 inch? So that's 2.5 inch. So the only 65 millimeter 2.5 inch bi-blades are super, super, super lightweight, very low pitch, very, very thin. So that does not surprise me. Yeah, that is a very, very, very low load propeller. I don't know of any 65 millimeter bi-blades that are like big, beefy, you know, like freestyle-ish propellers. So yeah, I'm not super surprised by that. That's cool, Athix. All right, we're caught up. What was I gonna do? Wasn't there a thing? Ah, CiottiFPV Reacts, that's it. Here's what it looks like over on the Discord channel. And let's see what's going on. I'm gonna put this full screen, mostly full screen. All right, let's see what's what. Dan Richmond, you've got too many rigs. That is too many, sir. That is too many. I'm one to talk. Oh, okay, some of them are just naked frames, though, so you get a pass. You get a pass. All right, yeah, that's not too many. It might be too many tiny whoops. But that's not too many. Bordering on too many. Nah, you're fine. You're fine. You don't need to go to Quads Anonymous yet. Some stuff in here. There's a glide frame there. Why is the glide frame not built? What are you doing? There's a BQE ripsqueak. What is that? It's an interesting little 3-inch freestyle frame. Super Lex battery straps. Look at that. Representing the homies on... I can't tell what that frame is. Oh, yeah, I know what that frame is. I can tell by the arm ends. I forget what it's called, though. Is that a stingy frame? Is that a legit? Okay, maybe I don't know what that frame is. There's some white motor wire, but that doesn't look like one of Bob's motors. What's that? What motor is that with white motor wire? This up here looks like an alien base plate, but it's so small. Interesting pile of quads. Oh God, what just happened? There we go. We're good. Interesting pile of quads. Free Lojo, what do you got? I need to walk into town and find a bathroom. I'm dying for a shit. Take my keys and go in the van. There it is. When giving instructions or evaluating a proposal, it helps to be specific and not assume that the other side understands what we mean. We must always be prepared for the fact that the listener may be okay with shitting in vehicles. There it is. There you have it. Freelo Joe is right on the money. Paul McD, FPV. Looking for his rigs to get critiqued. Yeah, for the record, if you post pictures of your rigs in here, there's a chance that I'll absolutely tear them apart. I take no responsibility for that. It's I did it for the lulz and for the viewers. A QX7 on the top right corner with some green TPU glowing in the UV goodness from camera bottom left. The only radio that matters. This would appear to be a squirt up here that appears to have been taken apart. Not surprising, because there's a couple of Cinesplores here, which fly much better. This Cinesplore has a GPS on it. That's interesting. How far are you going with that slow-ass Cinesplore? How far are you going to need a GPS? What's that about? I never thought about that. Look at this guy with the lens caps. Proper camera lens protection. I'm impressed. Some Gemfan D76s, my favorite of the Cinewoop props. Down here are the HQ5 blades. I find that these HQ5 blades don't make anywhere near as much thrust as these Gemfan 5 blades, and I don't really find them to be any quieter. I feel like they might have also actually been a little bit louder, but the big problem that I had with these HQ5 blades is they didn't make nearly as much thrust. Looks like he's got these on the stand motors. Maybe those are a higher KV to make up for the lack of thrust in those propellers. Love the color-coded TPU. I'm such a sucker for that. This down here would appear to be a long-range rig because he's got the Immortal T pushed way the hell out in front, which is a great idea if you're going to mount the Immortal T left to right like that. This is the proper way to do it if you're going to do long range. Actually, both of them are set up like that. And then the big long antenna on this one. I guess this is a digital rig with the little. Well, maybe not. I don't think the digital uses the red rush antenna. This appears to be a CL1 frame, I think. If try not to crash this frame, it'll break base plates like nobody's business. If you start crashing a lot, move away from this frame. There's really there are much better frames available. I love the race wires. Good clean builds. Little I don't know what this is over here. And then we have to be ultra creepers and read the note. Read the post-it note, which says, "Life is good when you enjoy your work." Very cool. That's a good fucking post-it note right there. And some octagonal, rather. Is that an octagon? 6 sides? I forget. Oh, no, octagon's 8 sides. So this is a septagonal set of mirrors there. I don't know. I just wanted to say words that would make me potentially seem smart. Redtail FPV says, my Crossfire never goes up to 150 hertz. It seems to be stuck at 50 running Tango 2 Crossfire Nano RX. Yeah, Redtail, it's at 150 when it's like touching, when the transmitter is touching the receiver, but yeah, it drops down to 50 hertz pretty early. That's pretty normal. Crossfire on 150 hertz, you don't get much range, so you don't want it to be on 150 hertz. That's some shit that'll cause fail-safes. That's potentially the reason that I lost a rig in Charleston in the sea. Remy Tim says, people putting GPS modules on all kinds of quads that don't make any sense these days. People fantasize about using GPS rescue mode to compensate for situational awareness. 7 sides would be septagonal. What's 6? What, octo? No, I just said octo is 8. Wait, no, octo is 6, isn't it? Who cares? Hey, this is something that I wanted to read. Paul McDFPV says, hey Dan, that quad with the GPS and the straps, does that work well? You just run the lead down the straps. Yes, that one actually has the best GPS signal. So that I always assumed that, but that's really good to kind of confirm here. That's how I have a couple of I have 2 rigs that are now wired up for GPS. I just haven't set it up. And I have the strap-based GPS mounts. I always assume that would work best because it puts it all up high and shit on top of the battery. It's really good to read that it works really well up there. That's pretty awesome. Look at that, the power of the internet. Okay, cool. I'm sleepy. Toothpick fleet is all on ELRS now. Rear 3 to 4S, TP3, Gepard C20 amp AIO. You guys can read this if you want. We're just going to take a look and critique the visuals because live streaming is a visual medium. Man, the FPV cycle white motors look really good. Look at this overachiever putting these tiny little flywoo race wires on. I did these on 1 toothpick build. I'll never do it again. I'm very shocked to see it on 2 builds. It's just a pain in the ass. Few clean builds here. Very cool. Very, very cool. What is this on? What's that antenna? These all analog? This one's definitely analog. It's got that DVR VTX all-in-one thing. This one down here is definitely analog. Is this this could be a DJI toothpick here. That's pretty cool. That's very cool, actually. I'm going to be building one of them at some point here. Next up, we've got Slim with some carnage. Only posting this because he says something about props cutting. 2.5 inch did this to my leg in July. I was surprised the damage it could do. Jesus, this one here looks nasty. This is like, yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that it did that much. But this, yeah, I can totally see this. Here's my stance on like yes, 3-inch can cut the shit out of you, but I don't think that a 3-inch could ever put you in the hospital. I'm pretty sure that Slim did not go to the hospital for that. Whereas 5-inch rigs, like, easily put somebody in the hospital. You know what I mean? Octo is 8, Hex is 6. Hex, of course. Hexagonal mirrors. There we go. So yeah. I'm not super surprised about the damage that 3-inch did, but yeah, that's my like philosophy on why 3-inch is safe to fly in a lot more situations where there could be a person. Is that it's gonna piss somebody off. Yeah, if you hit somebody in the head with it, it's gonna piss them the fuck off for sure. But I just don't think that they're gonna have to go to the hospital. And you know, when somebody has to go to the hospital, that's when everything changes, because that's when, you know, they want to sue your ass for the hospital bills, and that's where, you know, it just gets a lot more serious. So that was the conversation that we were having that Slim was talking about. But all that being said, yes, 2.5 inch, 3-inch will absolutely cut the shit out of you, and you'll bleed a lot, and you'll probably want to go to the hospital. I've been to the hospital twice from 3-inch cuts, and both times they gave me a Band-Aid. So, save yourself the money. Unless, like, you know, you can't move your finger, because that means that, like, you know, a tendon or something was cut completely through. But if you still have mobility in the limb, you probably don't need to go to the hospital. Free Lojo. Am I on the right scene? Nope. Free Lojo with a 2305.5 Amex Super Lagua. Just all of the phone spelling correction fails. X-hover frame. Little stack going on here. Camera out in front of the front standoffs. A daring move. Antenna zip tied up on the top plate there. Bottom mount battery. The scale is off, so we can't see what it weighs. Bong on the left side of the corner. And the only radio that matters. Oh, shit. Nice reload, Joe. Oh, he told us the all-up weight, 401 grams. That's light, my God. Crash Panda with a TikTok link. I don't really do the TikTok thing. I'm curious, though. One of the problems with it is that, like, I can't, like it only plays in this ridiculously small size. But we can pretend like this is an FPV video for ants. Well, that actually doesn't look terrible. Going for a tower dive. Here it comes. See how hard they are to line up? Not hitting the guide wires. That's really all that matters. I really don't like the whole rotating on the way down from a dive thing. I know why Crash Panda was doing it. But yeah, that's something to definitely work on. With dives, the two big things to work on are trying to get accurate at the top, and man, is it hard. It's like, all right, it's right in front of me, and then as soon as you turn over, exactly, boom, you're like way off. It's really hard, and then the whole thing is like, fuck, don't hit the guide wires, and then you start rotating, and then it's like, well, I can't stop rotating. It'll look like an error. But really, what you do is you just bail and climb back up to the top and do it again, 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 and eventually you'll get it right. Yeah, find those radio towers, guys. They're out there. Yeah, it's really fun, and it's really challenging. You'll love it. Bob Noxious buying a Never Give Up sticker. Look at that. I think there's a couple of these left over on the Etsy store. Thank you for the support, Bob. Ruby Tim says, while we're on QX7s, haven't used mine in the past year to force myself to get good with the Tango 2 for portability on hikes in the mountains, but this puppy's coming back to daily use because it's just so much more comfortable. Dan went ham on his QX7 and did all the painting things. I'm going to stop opening it up in separate windows now. Painted the inside part with the switches and this part of the gimbals. Painted these trim rings. Did the little flick the tip of the paintbrush thing for the speckles. Even went in here with some kind of a stencil to get some really cool honeycomb-ness. Very cool transmitter. I've seen this transmitter in person, and it gets the CiottiFPV seal of QX7 approval. Vegas says, subscribe to Sweet FPV or I'll hit you with a shovel. I love it. Jackalope FPV says, devil horn arms on the glide frame saving my motor. Love to see Ciotti advice play out like this. So there it is, boys and girls. That is one of the biggest reasons that, in my opinion, the glide frame is the best frame. When you start to crash hard, and basically when you start to crash hard is when you decide, all right, I'm going to really learn how to fly, and I'm going to start flying harder and pushing myself. So once you decide, like, hey, I'm going to really get good, you start crashing hard, and when you start crashing hard, you start going through a lot of potentially $25 motors, because the $25 motors do crash better and fly better. And the devil horns on the glide arms, this is exactly what they do. They take the hit so that the motor does not. This motor is now fine. This devil horn can actually probably be super glued back together. So you find a nice thin super glue. You get as much of it in here as you can in between the layers of carbon, and then you put this devil horn into a vise overnight. Actually, wrap it up in wax paper first. So super glue in here, and then wax paper, and then clamp down on this with a vise or vice grips or just something that's going to hold those layers really together really firmly. And then you let it sit for a couple of hours, and then this devil horn will probably take a couple more hits. But down here, I can see that some of the layers are starting to go away. So this arm is gonna need to be retired sooner than later because of that. The other thing that you can do if you're a total cheap ass like me is you see how this rear devil horn is totally fine. You take this arm, you flip it upside down, you put it on the other side. You take the other arm, you put it on here. Or, like, what I'll do is I'll just save this, like, just replace this arm and then save it. And then at some point when you have to replace the arm on the other side, that's when you can use this arm, because that front devil horn takes the majority of the abuse. But yeah, this is it, man. Like, this is... It's so fucking frustrating that every single 5-inch frame does not have arms that are designed like that. It's just ridiculous. It's really, really silly to me. I have like a couple theories as to why. The prevailing theory is like form over function. Right? Like, if you design a frame that looks good, it's going to sell really well, regardless of if it performs like shit or not. Look at Armatan. All their frames suck balls, but they look cool, and they sell. That's not true. Armatan frames sell because of the lifetime warranty. You thought I was going to say that's not true. All Armatan frames don't suck balls, didn't you? Nah, you didn't think that. You guys know me. Armatan frames don't suck balls, but they have not kept up with the times. Every single frame that has come out in the last 2 years is better than anything that Armatan has to offer. They just stopped iterating. They just stopped improving their frames. They also refused to believe the fact that the directionality of the carbon fiber strands does anything, which is just insane. I mean, that's just carbon fiber 101. And like, unfortunately, that says a lot about the company. The fact that they refuse to believe in the science that is absolutely irrefutable. Like, that... I remember, like, there was, like, an Armatan frame that I was interested in, and then when I found that out, I was like, no. Never. like that, no. What is wrong with you? You it's like if you're a janitor and you refuse to believe that plungers exist. You're like, no, my religion says that plungers don't exist. It's like, oh, okay, well... You're certainly not hired because you're a crazy person. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Dan Richmond posting a video to a running deer. Oh, really, YouTube? You're going to play it in donkey quality? There we go. Ooh, look at them deer running. Oh, man, what a... Are you kidding me? You're just flying along and then the deer are running like that? Screw you. What? What are the odds? That's dope, dude. That's super cool. What a magical little moment. When nature interacts with quads, when you're flying and something in nature interacts with you, it's a special kind of thing, especially when it's a bird. I'll never forget the first time that I flew with turkey buzzards, and they like kind of didn't mind me being up there with them. That's a special kind of thing. That's one of the many moments that makes one of the most frustrating hobbies in the world worth it. I gotta get that on the I gotta get the Mac Mini up so that the Stream Deck, so I can use the Stream Deck, and I'll have a button for in the world, and it'll be bang, there it is. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Welcome to the best motherfucking live stream
in the world.
If Jeremy says it, you know it must be true. Sorry for anybody's heads that just exploded from me screaming, not streaming. Metadartskin says the 250 brothers put the 5-inch drive chain in the purple one, went 4-inch in the other one. Against all reasoning, I'm trying it on a 20 by 20 stack. Metal, you in here? Is it not a complete nightmare to build a 250 with a 20 by 20 stack? Two clean 250 builds. Ooh, this one's on Flash Hobby Motors. Hey, how have those motors held up? I need to know. I need to know how these motors have held up, brother. Please, please, please tell me. This guy is on the, oh my god, Aerolite motors. Both digital. Ew, they're set up for toilet tank. Ew, get it off, get it off, get rid of it. Ew. I don't like toilet tank. Not my deal. Where's the 20 by 20 stack? This is the one that's on the AIO. This one must be the 20 by 20 stack. Man, it's just a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. You just can't remove the arms. You got to pull the stack to remove the arms when you put a 20 by 20 stack in there. It's a disaster. CiottiFPV with the most adorable thing I've ever seen. Look at this little guy. The pink Happy Model frame, which will break after like 3 crashes. And then this canopy is super cool. It's just such a neat design, the way that it's like, yeah, all flexible. Switch to the Grizz. Switch to the tri-blades, the Gemfan tri-blades. These quad blades. None of these motors have enough ass for these quad blades. Switch to the tris. You'll like them better. I tried to stay with the quad blades for a long time. I was convinced that they were worth it, but yeah, they're not, unfortunately. Man, I tried hard to convince myself of that too. God damn. Kevin Sumner at 175.8 grams. Isn't even final form. Different motors, race lights, HD0, micro V2 cam, and mounts that comes in. So that, my friends, is a Ripsqueak V2. Oh god, those are those ultra notchy 16 millimeter FPV cycle motors. Using the this is a really cool TPU antenna and VTX holder piece that that Brain3D sorry, Jesus, that BQE gives you with the Ripsqueak V2. I really like it. And they give you these nano sized front mounts as well. Very cool. HD0 being in there. With these motors make a hideous amount of power, and these are also the proper propellers for these motors. These are the T-Motor 3140s, the best 3-inch propeller that we've got access to. I fucking wish that we had a T-mount version of this motor available. This is a hell of a potent combo, Jesus Christ. This motor and prop, this rig easily has like 12, 13, 14, 15 to 1 power to weight ratio. As long as the battery and motor setup are producing enough kV. This could be like an ultra hardcore race rig, to be honest with you guys. I don't know if it would love hitting race gates at 100 plus miles an hour. I have a feeling that this frame would break in the middle. But yeah, this is a hell of a powerful powertrain here. Very cool build. You guys build clean, Jesus Christ. I feel like all the builds that I see online are just awful. But, I mean, it makes sense. The people that are willing to watch the complete maniac on YouTube that takes 40 hours to do each build so that it's completely perfect. Go figure, those people that watch that guy are also completely out of their minds when it comes to building clean. E-Doc with Snowy Quad. Got some Dow 3028s, the best T-mount propellers that are available on what looks to be the Zing 1504s, which are some of my favorite 3-inch motors. This is a great little Ripsqueak setup here. This is very similar to my favorite of my Ripsqueak setups. With what appears to be I think this is one of the high volt GNB batteries. Won't last very long. The high volt batteries you get like 20-30 cycles on and they start to really perform like ass. This rig, as long as he doesn't plug it in while it's all wet like this, should be fine. If your rig gets snowy or wet or whatever, put it in front of a fan for 24 hours. Don't plug it back in. Just resist the urge. Give it a full 24 hours in front of a fan, and it should be totally fine. Cheesy FPV, Fatboy on 2508 motors, 1500 kV, 5.5-inch prop king carrying DJI Osmo 2. Thoughts? I don't know. What the hell's the DJI Osmo 2? Is that their 360 cam? Initial thoughts are that this is way too heavy for a freestyle rig. Hopefully this is some sort of like a cinematic rig. What the hell is the DJI Osmo? Oh, that's a gimbaled camera? How did I not see that it's a gimbaled camera? Where's the rest of the Is it just the camera part? There's no gimbal there. Huh. If you're swinging 5.5-inch props, GemFan has the hot heat 5.5-inch prop right now. They just came out with it. It's really, really nice. Interesting. If that's a cinematic rig, it makes a lot of sense. To be that heavy, you can carry a big-ass battery and get like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes of runtime, and you can put the nose down and go really, really fast. So if that's what it's for, I dig it, cheesy. $500 camera. Yikes. Freelojo with a small Yeet 3 Caddx Peanut 3.5-inch prop, all up weight 280 grams. So this is a GemFan 3020 prop. You're probably gonna want to go with a little bit more pitchy of a prop for this much weight. If you're flying it freestyle, this prop would totally work if you're doing like a cinematic flying style with it. This is McConnell Studios' vibration damping setup here, which works brilliantly. So yeah, I would swap over to the Dow 3028 prop if you want to do more freestyle-ish flying with this, or just have more power available to you. Interesting setup. I'm so curious if the Peanut is more durable. If this is a freestyle rig and you've been crashing this, let me know how this Peanut has held up. That's one of the other weaknesses to these 3020 GemFan props, is that they're not going to take crashes from a big heavy rig like this all that well. They're just going to bend out of the way, and then you're going to really put a lot of strain into the motor bells. And these look to be Brother Hobby VY motors, which are not all that durable anyway. So yeah, if you're going to start crashing this thing hard, I would get a more durable propeller on here. Unfortunately, they don't make this motor anymore, so you're going to have to move away from this motor at some point. Which will be a good thing, because there's a lot of other motors that are more durable than these. But that setup with a 3028 Dow prop would rip. Remy Tim says drones has a cup that says drones are like boobs. Even the small ones are fun to play with. Apache Smokewood and Sniper is ready for some flying. What's he flying? What the hell Cinewhoop is that? So that's one of these, I'm assuming that's one of these big, heavy, I think one of them was called the Veyron. There's a bunch of these really big, thick, heavy-duty Cinewhoops. He's got what looks to be a gigantic battery on here. So yeah, this is a good Cinewhoop for, like, crashing into shit. But if you're, if you're looking to have something that's more accurate to like fly in tight spots and tight gaps, getting the weight down makes a huge difference from something that's big and thick like this and heavy. And then we've got a 5-inch rig here. I can't really tell what it is. Can't quite tell what it is. But a day of flying. Oh, it looks like it's a Toyota Altiza. No, it's a Lexus IS200. If you guys ever wondered where the term Altiza taillights came from, right? Like, so in the 90s and the 2000s, all the rage was, so we went from just clear, just taking a stock headlight and taking all the color out and making it clear. That was all the rage. It looked awful on tuner cars. And then it moved to, you could buy Altiza taillights for every single car under the sun. And it was a clear outer covering with chrome, and then everything was always circular. and the Lexus IS200, or Toyota Altiza as they called it in Japan, was the car that originated from. It was from the factory. It came with a taillight that was that style, and it looked really cool. And then the aftermarket lost their fucking minds and made out Altiza taillights for every single rig, every single car ever built. And we are at the end. NASA Marty on 420 posted my 2 CiottiFPV inspired rigs, 3-inch ripspeed builds, 1 V2, 1 OG. Without Aaron's advice and knowledge, I doubt I would have these two beauties fly great, look great. Thanks, Ciotti. Very cool of you to say, Marty. Love it. I'll open this one bigger because I want to see. I want to see. So we've got Brother Hobby 50 on 4.5. Great motor, super lightweight, great power, just fragile motors. Gemfan 3028 props. The Dow 3028s. I hate to admit this because I am a Gemfan sponsored pilot, but Gemfan told me, like, you know, don't not talk bad about our propellers. Like, just be you. The Dow 3028s are a much better propeller than these Gemfan Wind Dancer 3028s. So once you blow through all these, replace them with Dows. The Runcam Thumb, that's very cool. I really like that. It looks like it's in the mount backwards though, right? Shouldn't the lens be in this cutout here, so that that would put the lens on more of the center line of the quad, and that would get a little bit more of the... When you have the lens all the way over like this, it picks up a whole bunch of this propeller. If you can center the lens a little bit more on the HD cam, it'll pick up less propeller. I mean, I guess it picks up the same amount of propeller, but what it does is it puts the propellers farther down in the corners where you're much less likely to notice them. That's a good looking little build there, though. Scroll down, damn you. Oh, I have a working scroll wheel now. This one's got GPS, so this is a long range one. This is on the HQ 3x3x3 props. Try to get off of those propellers. They are not well balanced. You will not be able to get as good of a PID and filter tune on this rig because of the imbalances in those propellers. For a long range rig, I'm assuming, because, you know, GPS and all, for a long range rig, you might even want to play around with a biblade, but, well, you don't have an HD, so you don't have an HD cam on this rig, so a biblade is going to be totally fine. The 3-inch biblades, none of them are all that well balanced, so if you put a biblade on a rig with an HD cam, you'll get jello. But this rig does not have an HD cam, so to hell with it, you'll probably be fine. Yeah, a 3-inch biblade would push this thing out even farther. Alternatively, again, the Dow 3028. The HQ propellers, like when you look at the blade profile of an HQ propeller, like they don't have a lot going on. Like they're very, very basic, very like old school propeller designs. And that makes them not all that efficient, right? Like we've seen huge gains in efficiency in the whole fucking world, you know, recently. It's like, you know, we're no longer like just hitting stuff with a hammer on Earth. We're looking and making things smarter and more efficient. And so yeah, the Dow props will be a lot more efficient than these guys. Not a lot more, but they will be more efficient for sure. And then, yeah, maybe look at a biblade. That'd be cool. Two good looking rigs. Look, double battery straps. Somebody's really paying attention. Jesus. What bag is this? This is a low pro bag. Look at that. Low pro bag with molly straps on the outside that he's got a bunch of battery straps on. I dig it. This is one of my favorite things to do. You just get a bag with these molly 20 mil molly straps on. Molly is a military acronym for this type of webbing, which is a modular system, and it's perfect for putting battery straps on. And then you have a bunch of extra battery straps on your bag in case you need them when you're flying with your bag, right? I dig it. I do. And we're caught up on Ciotti Reacts. Look at that. So now you guys got to get your asses in there and put some more stuff in the Ciotti Reacts board. If you scroll all the way up to the top, I have put the rules, and it's basically this. Right there. Post pictures of your builds, short clips, questions or comments you want me to react to live on stream. There you have it. That's how we do that. And I can't believe I remembered. Hold on. Let me make sure that Super Deluxe didn't just put like a big middle finger. Okay, now he's good. Super Deluxe has built a very cool little DigiView box here. Damn, that looks really nice. Hey, Super Deluxe, if you're still in here, can you figure out a way to get that DigiView watermark out of the corner on this? For my live flying gigs, I can't have a watermark, and Joshua couldn't figure out how to turn off the DigiView watermark. I assume that you can't turn it off, but by any chance, do you know how to turn it off? This is slick. What is this, a battery here? Battery powering down into the, what I assume is a Pi. What a gorgeous box. Did you have this box resin printed? Jesus. My man. I think I'm in love. I only have eyes for you, Maggie, I swear. PJ did not, what time is it? 11:53? I guess we're not working on the, alright, let me change the name of the stream. Good questions tonight, friends. Alright, stream title has been changed, because I'm not going to try to, like, shoehorn in 8 minutes of doing nothing on these glide builds. Nothing new around here. PJ Denard says the 1504s and 700 mAh GNBs I have on my 3-inch ripsqueak is pretty damn quick. Figured to knock somebody out coming full throttle. In terms of speed, yes, PJ. In terms of mass, no. I've been hit with 250 gram rigs at full tilt, and it's just not enough mass. Like you're not happy. You're not like, yay, that felt great. But it's just, yeah, the 250 gram number makes an awful lot of sense. And that's, you know, I'm sure that the FAA spent $5 million in taxpayer money to figure that out. But I'm glad that they did, because yeah, a 250, I feel like that's a really, really solid number. I really do feel like 250 grams, even maybe if you sent one like 100 plus miles an hour, maybe it could really fuck somebody up, but I just doubt it. I just doubt it. Man, I got hit by my own 220, 230, 240-ish gram rig at absolutely full tilt. And I was fine. It hit me in the jeans, hit me in the right leg on the side, and like it didn't feel great, but like it was just the amount of energy that it put into my leg. I was like, okay, that's really good to know. And it just was not the amount of energy that I can ever see, like, yeah, knocking somebody unconscious or you know, cutting someone's head off. B-Man says, Devil Horns for the win. The only reason why I still have motors while the bandos I fly. Hell yeah. Bob Noxious says, I've been using Bondic on those chewed areas of carbon fiber, and so far it breaks the glue off but doesn't take more carbon. Wow, very cool. That's an interesting... I don't have Bondic. I've seen it, though. And it's one of those things that I've seen, and I've been like, ooh, put that on your Amazon wish list. And then I forget. But I'm doing it... Oh, wait, no, Bondic. Oh, Bondic is the UV light glue. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have that. I've been using that for a while. How are you using that on the arms? What are you... Are you squirting that in between the layers of carbon? Is that what you're doing? I didn't realize it was called Bondic. Bondic dries really... I've been impressed with how hard it dries, but then it tends to kind of break off. But if you're squirting it in between the layers of carbon, that's really interesting. Breaks the glue off, but doesn't take more carbon. Interesting. That's a cool idea. I'm going to try that. Very cool. Brandon's Baked Bean says Armor 10 frames kind of suck balls. Man, do they ever do horrible on Black Box? They have a horrible frame resonance issues, which in itself is enough of a reason to not run them. Hate to be the bearer of bad news if you're an Armatan, a long-term Armatan fan, but them's just the facts. Athix says, Joshua mentioned the Devil Horn arms were sold separately for his frame. This is due to cost, how many they can get out of a sheet. That's when I was like, when I was on that rant and I was like, I kind of know a part of the reason. That's part of the reason. I don't like talking about that because it kind of shits all over every single frame manufacturer. Because basically what it's saying is that they don't care about the design of the frame. All they care about is making money. They are running a business, though. You know, like we can't crucify businesses for wanting to stay in business. But it sure is nice that we've got a dentist that doesn't care about making money from FPV, making products for us, where there is absolutely no thought given to, oh, can I make this cheaper so that I make more money? It's just top to bottom. How can this be better? 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 Makes a really big difference. And when you start buying a lot of stuff from FPV Cycle and building with it, it's hard to go back because the whole FPV Cycle ecosystem is based around how can this be better, not how can I, make money. And that's super unique, and it's wild that we have that in this hobby. I've never been in a hobby that's had anything like that before. It's incredible that we have that. Bob Noxious says, I've been running the Flash Hobby 2004 for others. Feel like they use inferior parts, starting getting bearing noise after maybe 10 batteries and 0 crashes. All right, yep, so that's what I've heard. Thank you for that feedback. It's DYS. Flash Hobby is just DYS, and DYS has a long history of making very inexpensive stuff. You get what you pay for. My fingers were crossed, but I knew that was going to be the case. CiottiFPV says, glad to know that I got both 3 and 4 blade for my 65mm. Nice, Grizz. Bob Noxious says, now they have been crashed and are holding up, but I don't push them because of the inferior parts deal. Makes sense. I did not use... So I have had a set of those Flash Hobby 2004 4,000 kV motors sitting on my desk for months. And so these are 4,000 kV, which is a great kV for me. But I have not been able to justify putting them on because of this reputation of DYS, now Flash Hobby. And, I'm not using Cinewhoops to just screw around in the parking lot. I'm flying my Cinewhoops on gigs, and I cannot have one of these motors shit the bed. So I didn't put them on, and I'm glad I didn't. Glenn Burnett says, I bought the Armatan frame as I was more of a beginner, and the warranty sounded appealing. Glenn, you and like most of the FPV population, which is why I try to not bash on Armatan because it rubs people the wrong way. I'm willing to bash on them a little bit in hopes that it will open those people's eyes because there are much better frames. And the value of the lifetime warranty, you will never get the value of the lifetime warranty, right? So most Armatan frames are $100. The glide frame is $50. The glide frame replacement arms are like $4. Call it $5. You would have to break, right? X number, like that's how you want to look at it. You would have to break X number of glide arms. I guess it's 10, right? A minimum of 10. I think they're actually like $4 each, but I'm not going to do that math. So you would have to break 10 glide arms to break even on that Armatan warranty. Well, here's the problem with the Armatan warranty too, is that most of their frames are unibody. So when you break an arm, and you will break an arm because the carbon fiber strands are running in the complete fucking wrong direction, you got to tear the entire rig apart. And then you got to take pictures or send them the broken base plate, I forget what it is. And then you got to wait for them to send you another one. And you also have to deal with them replying to your email with shit like, oh, that'll be fine. You just super glue that arm back together and you'll be okay. That's the other huge problem with Armatan, is that they do shit like that. That shit right there, that's unforgivable. Like, you're selling... before I say this, the Armatan, none of the Armatan frames are anywhere near as good as the glide frame. So by buying the cheaper glide frame, you've got a much better quality frame from all standpoints, right? Never mind. I've heard from multiple people that they have gotten email replies from Armatan when they've tried to get their lifetime warranty that they paid good money for. They spent $100 on this frame that doesn't perform better than any other frame available at this point, right? But so ostensibly, the reason that they were willing to spend $100 on a frame that ain't as good is for the lifetime warranty. It's the only reason, right? And then to get a reply back from the company, oh, just super glue it back together, you'll be okay. Like, come on. It's been happening more and more lately. I'm assuming that most people know that Armatan frames are no good at this point. I'm assuming that the business is kind of falling apart, which is kind of sad, but, they haven't done shit. Like, they refused to believe the hundreds of people that explained to them over and over and over again that the directionality of the carbon fiber is really important, and then they just stopped innovating. They just stopped making new frames. It's like, what do you expect? I'll feel this bad, but I don't really feel very bad. Like, they did it themselves. Some of the... Way back when the carbon fiber directionality thing was the hot button topic, like we're going like 3 years back. Some of the shit that Chris from Armatan, I think his name is Chris, some of the shit that Chris from Armatan would come up with in Facebook comments was just... You ever meet one of those people that doesn't know anything, but they talk in a way that they know everything? That's Chris from Armatan. And those people drive me fucking nuts, because they spread bad info, and they spread it like far and wide, right? Because those are usually the people that are loud. So they spread bad info to a lot of people. And also, as a company, when you do that shit, it like a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're a successful company, you must know. And then now you've got a whole generation of people. Now you've got a whole generation of people that have bad info in their brain that they are sure is right because they got that bad info from a trusted source, right? Big problem. Big problem, right? That's a big problem in the world right now, you know? That's been a big that became a really big problem, 6 years ago or so? I mean, it didn't become a big problem there, but we really got to see how big of a problem it was 6-7 years ago, right? So, yeah. Not picking on you at all, Glenn Burnett. It's not you, man. Armatan looks like a great company. It's, there was a point where I looked at Armatan frames, I was like, oh my god, they're $100? They must be so good. That's the other thing. They price their frames in a way where you're like, oh shit, that must be the best frame available. It's the most expensive. We get what we pay for, right? Not always. Not when the person running the company is a maniac. I don't know if he's actually a maniac, but certainly seemed like one. Some of the shit that he used to come up with. Apache Smoke Wooden Sniper says it's a Gep RC crown frame and a Xylo JB build. Ah, okay. Quad Dog, we got that. Oh, interesting. Quad Dog says everyone loves hating on Armaton without explaining why. I don't agree. Most people... I mean, sure, if you go on Facebook and you type, hey, why do you hate Armatan frames? Most of the jackasses that reply they don't know shit. So, of course, they're not going to be able to explain why. But all of the pro pilots that I know at some point have explained in pretty good detail why they've moved away from Armatan frames or just why Armatan frames suck. Joshua talks about it whenever it comes up. I've talked about it numerous times. UAV Tech has talked about it. Chris Rosser did a vibrational analysis of Armatan frames, and it was just, I mean, like, it was just brutal. I mean, it was redefined the worst frame that he'd ever seen. So yeah, plenty of explanations as to why. But with enough filtering and low enough PID gains, their frames will absolutely fly for sure. They'll get you up in the air, and they're probably better than some of the China clones. But for the money, you can get a frame that's so much better, so much better in pretty much every way. If I'm really honest, I've really tried hard to find like one thing or two things about the Armatan frames that, because so many people are so like in love with them, I don't want to be all doom and gloom about them, but I just can't find anything about those frames that that's better than or the same as the other frames that we have available. I don't know. If you guys know something, definitely let me know, because I feel bad, like I have, we've been, one of the wonderful things about capitalism is that it's created this unbelievable and unbelievably confusing brand loyalty in all of us. And I'm not immune to it. I love Ford and hate Chevy and Dodge. And I have to like talk myself out of that, because it's like Chevy has some great cars, Dodge has Chevy has some great cars, Dodge not really. I mean, the Neon was okay. But yeah, we have this unbelievable brand loyalty. Why? Like why? What does brand loyalty do for us at all? Unless in like every once in a while there is a brand that like top to bottom makes everything perfect. But that's pretty rare, right? Like I think that the closest thing that we have to that is FPV Cycle, right? Because they don't care about profits. Everything we were talking about a minute ago. But even FPV Cycle, like, you should not be brand loyal to them, because there are some motors that some motor sizes that they don't have. And that sometimes they put stuff out that has issues, right? Like when they had their motors being manufactured by Brother Hobby, they were having a lot of issues. So like, Yeah, like this whole brand loyalty thing, like we really need to, like every single one of us needs to really work to remove that from our brains, because it's bad. It's bad to be brand loyal. Doesn't do anything good. Don't be brand loyal. No reason. You're not sponsored by Armatan, you know? No reason for you to be standing up for them. But we'd still do it. We still do it. Wild. Apache Smoke, we got that. 661 says can't see. 1148. Probably had the wrong scene on. Apache Smoke says, and IS 250 horsepower. Are you saying that you've built... I don't think they make that much power from the factory. Have you done bolt-ons and shit to get it to 250? I think that's what you're saying, Apache. Gab says can't see. Aren't showing the right screen. Yeah, okay. Can't... Oh, man. How long did I... whatever. It's over. Hopefully I wasn't on the wrong scene for too long. I figured that I was. Bob Noxious says the thumb TPU mount has a notch on the inside for the battery connector. That was the correct way to mount it. Really? Why would they do that? How do you sleep at night having it sitting there with that scallop cut out on the wrong side? Yeah, you're a calmer person than I am. Calmer than you are. Who knows what movie that's from? 661FPV says, nope, the thumb mount has a circle to cut out on the button side. What is the matter with them? What are they doing? Why would they do that? Wrong scene, can't see. It looks like I had the wrong scene on for a while. Sorry. Too late now. YouTube just did the thing. I'm going to get caught up and we're going to wrap this up. We're after midnight already. Got some good rants in here tonight, didn't we? Come on, where was it? There we go. 661 says, I have no balance problems with HQ 3x3x3 ever. I actually got Jello when I used Dalprop 3028, went back to the HQ and no more Jello. Interesting. Maybe I just got a bad set. I don't know. So I've bought... So, in fairness, the HQ 3x3x3s aren't out of balance enough that they will cause Jello. But they are not as well balanced as GemFan props. That's for absolute certain. If you start cranking your tune up, you'll notice it. I have not had any problems with the Dow 3028s, but Dow props are classically not as well balanced as GemFan props. That's really interesting. I'm going to pay more attention to the Dow 3028s. I've not heard from anybody that they had any balance issues with the Dow 3028s. So that's something that I'm definitely going to pay more attention to. Thank you, 661, for saying that. Jeff says, wow, I had the wrong scene up for a long time. Oh, well. Remy Tim says, the FAA didn't spend any time figuring out 250. Pretty sure it's something they grabbed onto from something in the world of cannonball manufacturing from when that was relevant. Really? What? Cannonball manufacturing? Interesting. Wow. PJ Denard says, good to know, hit the grandmas. Don't hit the grandmas. Bob Noxious says, not to put the arm together, but to protect the outside. Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. Oh. That's interesting. Bob Noxious is using Bondic like frangible tank armor. Quad Doc says, I am the long-term Armatan flyer. Good news is I don't know how to interpret black box. Quad Doc, do yourself a favor. Next time you want to do a new build, get a glide frame, get an Impulse RC Apex, get something not Armatan, and then start cranking your PIDs up on that newer frame, and you'll start to really see the light. And then once you start to crash, you'll definitely see a big difference in the strength of the arms. Yeah, a lot of advancements have been made in the last couple of years in frame design, and yeah, the new frames really truly do fly a lot better. GrizzFPV says, preach, I've been converted, can't wait to build my next one. Bob Noxious says, I won mine from CiottiFPV's live stream. Kevin Sumner says, midnight, just got here, what I miss. Zorro's in the house, what's up, dude? How are you? I haven't seen you in a while, brother. Let me make you a moderator so you show up in blue. There you are, my friend. You don't have to do any moderating, I just want your name to be in blue. Kevin Sumner says, ooh, pooping on Armatan? Always. Always. I feel bad. Yeah, Chris LaRue. I couldn't think of his last name. I do feel bad trashing on Armatan, but god damn it, I just can't. I want you guys to fly good gear. Like that's part of my job. I consider that to be part of my job. Part of my job is to test shit and then pass that info along to you guys, right? Like, we do these funds and you guys specifically like super chat and PayPal me for shit so that I can try it and test it and then report back, you know, like this is a big part of my job. And I take that really seriously. But at the same time, you know, I don't want to lose viewers, and I know that brand loyalty is a big thing. So I always try to find good in anything, in some stuff. So yeah. Veritas Weasel says 6-inch big beefy props with powerful motors. That's what she screams. What's that in reference to? AthixFPV says Armatan frames were hot with the titanium at first, then just quit doing cool things. Yeah, they just gave up. They just gave up, and it really feels like they're about to go away. Because the frequency that I hear from that I get questions from people saying like, have you ever heard of anybody mentioning this before? I just got this email from Armatan, has gone up sharply. And yeah, I mean, that was like, man, when the first person told me that, I was like, this person's full of shit. There's no way. When the second person told me that, I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. When the third, fourth, fifth, sixth person told me that, I was just like, that's unforgivable. That is unforgivable. Like, I'm very close to being at the point where I don't feel bad about shitting all over Armatan anymore, because like that is like, man, fuck you. Like, somebody breaks their frame, you sold them a lifetime warranty on the frame. Sorry, dude, you're in it. Like, you signed on the dotted line, and now you gotta pay up. And if you're not, like, and to not pay up even once, that ain't it. That ain't right. Ain't right. Quad Dog says, so what's the number one frame with good camera protection? Because most frames look like a destroyed FPV camera waiting to happen, including the Apex. Titanium is a selling point. So the cameras don't really break anymore, Quad Dog, to be honest with you. Like, camera protection is no longer really necessary. Mainly not necessary, but it's no longer like there was a little period of time where camera protection was like all anybody cared about. And it's just not the case anymore. All of the DJI and Caddx cameras are hilariously durable. Most cameras at this point are nano, and they are so small and lightweight that they just don't break anymore. So yeah, camera protection. Well, it's funny. Yeah, so it would make a lot of sense that that you would still be on Armatan frames if you're still in that mindset of like camera protection being all that really matters on an FPV frame. That's interesting. Yeah, it's just not. It's just not it's not the right selling point to be looking at anymore, because yeah, the new cameras are just not as fragile as the previous ones were. So yeah, I would. That's my recommendation, is just to take that on your list of priorities. That, you know, it sounds like that's pretty high on the top. You need to push that down, because there's a lot of other things that make a much bigger difference in the full experience of owning and living with and flying and whatever a frame. Bob Noxious says, I won't lie, it bugs me. CiottiFPV, the cutout was on that side. Athix says, brand loyalty might be just confirmation bias of what works for them. Yeah, brand loyalty is very closely tied to confirmation bias, for sure. Absolutely, Athix. Absolutely. Kevin Sumner says, what's your opinion or chatter you've heard about quality on Luminaire electronics? I feel like you talked about them recently. Yeah, Luminaire electronics have always been... GetFPV is cool enough to offer me their affiliate program. But I have never backed off from recommending people stay away from their electronics. GetFPV is they're my favorite place to buy stuff from, but you'll never see me buy any Luminaire electronic. I guess one of the easiest ways to think about it is that Luminaire doesn't make their electronics. They pay someone else to make it. And when you put another person in the mix there, you end up paying a little bit more for something that's less quality. So, yeah. You still breaking... How are you breaking FPV cams, Superlux? Are you hanging them out the front standoffs? I have not broken an FPV camera in like 2 years. The nano cameras just don't break. They're so lightweight, and I just keep them inside of the front standoffs, and we're good. And then, yeah, my God, the DJI cameras are like wild. PJ Denard says, comes down to this: don't advertise and promise it if you can't fulfill it. Yeah, especially if you're going to take somebody's money for it, right? Like, that, yeah, not cool. Not cool. But, you know, I'm a broke bastard, so, like, $100 frame is like, oh my God, that's insane. I've never bought a $100 frame. I don't think I ever will. But if I was going to buy a $100 frame and the manufacturer said, hey, this has a lifetime warranty, and I went to cash in on that warranty and they told me to super glue it back together, I'd be on a fucking plane. I've caught up on the chat. I love you guys. I'm going to leave you with that one. I'll be back on Wednesday. We're going to do Cinewhoop Wednesday. We're going to take a look at these gorgeous Brain 3D mounts, as well as the GoPro Hero 10 Bones. We're going to figure out how the hell there's a 60-gram weight difference between McConnell Studios' Cinewhoop and mine. And we're going to review some flight footage. I'm going to do a little bit of flying with all three of these Cinewhoops. And, yeah. Kevin Sumner says, did you know Armatan is now one of Roster's manufacturers? I did. Armatan, as a manufacturer, is fine. As a designer, is horrifying. The frames that Armatan has designed, you want to stay away from. The frames that other people have designed, that they have had Armatan cut, and they have specifically forced Chris from Armatan to cut it with the carbon fiber weave going in the correct direction, which Chris Rosser most certainly has. Those frames are going to be good. So there you guys go. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me the king of ranting and turning people off to continuing to watch his content by shitting all over the brands that they love. Love you guys. Be good. I'll see you Wednesday at 8 o'clock. CiottiFPV.com for everything that you need in the whole wide world, including a hug. Here comes some flying. I'm going to have to restart OBS. God damn it. I'll be right back. Hold on. It's going to pinwheel for a second. Here's some flying, boys and girls. I love you. Goodbye.